After having just witnessed the most incredible miracle to have ever taken place, the Bnei Israel were believers. The pasuk tells us in Az Yashir, "Vayiru ha'amis Hashem," that the people saw God. They saw the hand of God by splitting the sea, splitting the Yam Suf, "Vayaminu b'Hashem u'v'Moshe Avdo," and they believed in Hashem. And after they come to the shores of the Yam Suf, they're sitting and collecting all of the gold and silver that had washed up from the horses of the Egyptians. And Rashi tells us that the amount of gold and silver and precious stones far exceeded the amount that they requested and took from the Egyptians as they left Mitzrayim. So the people are believers at this moment. And Moshe has to push them against their will and take them away from all of the biza, all of the gold and silver and stones, because they wanted to collect more and more. And Moshe said, enough, let's get moving. And they start traveling, and they travel for 3 days in the midbar of Shur, and the people are thirsty. They don't have any water, they don't have anything to drink. Parenthetically, we learn from here that a Jew has to hear Kriyas Torah every 3 days. That's why we read the Torah on Shabbos twice, and then we read it on Monday, and we read it on Thursday. It's divided, separated out so that a Jew can't go 3 days without hearing Torah. Because for a person to go 3 days without hearing Torah is like for a person to go 3 days without being able to drink water. We can't sustain ourselves without drinking water. So too a Jew cannot sustain themselves without hearing Torah. And so eventually they come to a place where they find water, but this water is very bitter. So they cry out to Moshe, and Moshe cries out to Hashem, and Hashem says, okay. He shows Moshe a tree, and Moshe takes this tree, this branch, he takes it and he throws it in the water becomes sweet, and the people ultimately are able to drink. And then Moshe says to the people, you have to have faith in Hashem, you have to listen to his mitzvos, you have to follow his way, and if you do, nothing bad will happen to you. All the bad things that happened to the Egyptians will never happen to you, because I am Hashem who heals you. Moshe says in the words of Hashem. What transpired here? So the Baal Shem Tov, Zchus HaYogin Aleinu, explains as follows. He said, the water was not what was bitter. It was the people who were bitter. So you say to yourself, how could the people be bitter? They just witnessed 3 days earlier the most miraculous event, and they had an incredible amount of emunah, of faith, of bitachon. And then 3 days later they become bitter? How is that possible? So I think part of the answer is that they were human. And when it comes to human beings, we're not perfect. Hashem didn't give the Torah to malachim, to angels, he gave them to human beings. And that means that human beings sometimes have moments of great spiritual heights. And sometimes we have moments where we fall to spiritual lows. Sometimes we have moments in which we despair, we worry, we're concerned. And sometimes we even doubt or question our faith. But Hashem says never to do so. We might have a challenge to faith, but never to question faith. That sometimes in life we have a setback by virtue of different things that occur to us, but that he wants us to know, Hashem wants us to know that he is always there with us. It's easy to have faith when things are good. It's easy to have faith when we see miracles like the Kriyas Yam Suf. But when one doesn't have anything to drink, faith is a little bit more difficult, yet faith is even more important. And so we take that concept and apply to our lives, where we all have setbacks that sometimes bring us to a point where we have a setback in faith. And the answer is not for us to give up on faith. The answer is for us to strengthen our faith. To understand that whatever it is that we go through in life, whichever setback we have, Hashem has not abandoned us. Hashem is still with us. We may not understand what it is that we're going through and why we're going through it. But we can know that Hashem is always at our side. And just like ultimately he was able to turn bitter waters into sweet waters, he'll be able to take the bitterness that we may feel sometimes in our lives and make it sweet, as long as we have faith in him and in the future. And we have to be careful not to allow bitterness to cloud the opportunity for us to see the sweetness that exists in our lives. Thank you for listening, and have a good Shabbos.